All right, and we're live. Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's call, for taking time out to be with us. This weekend, we had a really fun event that we did with Patty Dolan. She's a Crossline Gold leader, and it was Fall Oily Fest. So for those on the call, we know that a couple people got to go with us. Tashina, you were there. Dana and I were there. Kayla, you went as well. So I thought this evening maybe we would recap that event a little bit, talk about what we enjoyed, and then I wanted to touch on why those types of events are so important, and what we're trying to create in the community and the culture for our team. So Tashina, you had some notes. You actually had the first class that you taught, which was on the four tendencies. How did that go?
Oh, it went really good. I used Vanessa Romero's outline from convention for that, but we had a lot of participation, and I got some good feedback on how to do better for the next time too, just because her presentation is so little detailed. It took me a lot of time to go and take notes, so people would have liked to have handouts and just a little bit more details in some of the other sections. So I got really good feedback from that.
So really quickly, let's touch on this. I want to backtrack just a little bit. For those who are not familiar with Patty's event, what kind of event is Fall Oily Fest?
So it is a collaboration between Crossline individuals. So there were actually 3 goals that were there, as well as our team. Dana and Anthony have been involved as speakers for over 2 years for this event. And so it's in a facility that has a lot of different rooms. And so there's different classes for you to choose from in different areas. So I like it because for me, what I always try to do is to pick something that is the furthest away from something I would actually want to do, because a lot of times it is the thing that everybody is into at that time, and it gives me a better perspective and something to share with people. So like one year I went to the one on pets. I'm allergic to everything with fur, and I know nothing about oils with pets, but I know I think like 80% of people in Young Living have a dog. So it's something that I have to educate myself on. And this time around, I went to the art of perfumery, which in my brain, I don't understand. Like when I put on my oils, everybody can smell me. So I don't understand why you would need to put more effort in to make a perfume. And I learned why and the importance of it. And so for my friends that are interested in that, I think like one of my other downline, Roxana, she got to go, and I think she wants to now do a perfume class based on what I learned from that class. So
okay. And I really like Patty's events, and granted there were 3 goals who actually put on this event. Patty always sticks out to me because she's the one that we dealt with more individually. But when I look at these events, to me, they kind of remind me of like a mini, like almost the way that convention is set up, how you have multiple classes that you can attend. It's an all-day event. They had lunch, so when you purchase a ticket, you could purchase a ticket with lunch. And the lunches usually are pretty stellar. They had the vendors there. Overall, just a great event to plug into for education. And like you touched on, Tashina, it's a great event to plug into for classes that you may not necessarily have thought that there was interest in, or that may not have even been on your radar to start with. I know the first year that Dana and I were involved, I taught a men's and oil class. And it's funny because like that was in such a high demand at the time, because there were very few men who are actually known as being oilers or part of Young Living, especially in our area. And so when I offered to teach that class again, Patty told me that's pretty well covered. So like at this point, it's a little bit more common. A lot of more men are involved, and that knowledge is out there. So they wanted to go with something that was maybe not as well covered. And also, they had the staple classes. So Dana and I taught an intro to oils class, and we actually taught the class that's from the Vital 180 website. And I was surprised how many people were like, where did you get this from? We love the way that you guys taught. Do you normally use a PowerPoint presentation? Did you sit down and come up with this presentation yourself? And in talking to them, it made me appreciate the power of the tools that we have. because Scott and Brenda have put in a ton of time and resources to create Vital 180. And like, we really don't have to rework it. Like, we were able to do a huge event like that and to teach a class using Vital 180's resources. So I really did enjoy teaching that class this year. And it was just really nice to see that there's still new people. Like a huge event like that, sometimes we think of it as just education for ourselves. But I mean, I was surprised at how many guests were there, right? You know, so people who were getting the information for the first time. One of the girls in one of the other classes had only been in for like 3 days. She came to the event to get more education. And so we can't stress enough how important, more so than sales, more so than anything, is education. And putting on these events and supporting them are really going to help you flourish, not only in your lifestyle, but also in your business. So I really
definitely. I will add to that, whether you're a leader or if you're just trying to get education for you and your family, it is crucial that you make it a point to be at events like this. Like, it is so important that you come to these events and you bring people with you, because you're going to find, like, even with your families and friends that you're sharing with, and it's like you're telling them these things and they're not getting it. Like, it makes such a difference when they're in the atmosphere of people that are trained in their fields, speaking into their lives as well. So I'll just kind of briefly comment on the first Oily Fest that we went to. I actually during Anthony's class that he taught, I was sitting next to Jill Young, and I had absolutely no clue who she was. And we're just chatting and having a conversation, and she's asking me about my goals and, you know, what I'm trying to accomplish. And at the time, I don't know, maybe we were senior star or something like that. And I told her, oh, well, you know, me and my kids, when we get to silver, we're going to Bethel. And when we get to gold, we're going to Disney World. And we're just chatting. And come to find out, she was the keynote speaker, and she's a Royal Crown Diamond. Right? Like, at no point in the conversation, and then she told me about her life, and she told me about her kids and told me about stuff, but at no point did she ever say, hey, by the way, I'm a Royal Crown Diamond and I make buku money, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever. But it's like, had I not been at that event, I would have missed out on the opportunity of really understanding. Like, she was just like me, where she wanted to be home with her kids, and she was babysitting to make money and make ends meet. And she found a better way. And she's like, all I did was just share. I just shared, and we, you know, at some point grew, and it became a viable business. She also said she hid all of her checks from her husband. Her husband still has no clue how much money she makes, like, which I thought was kind of funny. But again, and then after that event, like, she friended me on Facebook, and still periodically to this day, she's like, so how's it going? Are you gold yet? Did you take your kids to Disney? Like, what's going on? So she has become like an accountability partner to me. And it's like, you don't realize the type of relationships that you could be forming if you're not at these type of events. It's so, so crucially important that you get to those events and you get your people to those events. If you have people that you have brought into your organization, encourage them to get to these events. It makes such a big difference when it's just you telling them versus they're hearing it from experts in their fields.
Yeah. And Jill has become a great friend of ours since that event. So, I mean, if you ever feel like, hey, my upline is not supporting me, that's the nice thing about going to these types of events, is you never know what kind of support you can get from Crossline. And this event is put on by Crossline. So I guess I'll stress the importance now, and then we'll get into some of the classes that we attended. But I mean, it's just really important to be able to plug into events that, you know, other people are putting together. We know that for anybody who has helped us plan out the Live Your Passion rallies, it's a lot of work. And some people do not have the time nor the resources to invest in planning a rally or planning an event. So when you have an event like this, where, I mean, and Patty's events are done really well, right, Tashina? Like, wouldn't you agree? they're done really well.
She's so green.
Yeah.
She's so green. I'm just like, wow, all the little touches and all this. And then she's got so many yellows on her team, and they were like giving out extra stuff in their classes. I was like, you're giving away giveaways in your class? I thought it was something because I passed some oils in my class. Listen, people smell some magnify your purpose. So it is very high quality, very good information. You get, she was passing out notebooks. It is smaller than Shannon's, but it is a Shannon style, Shannon quality event.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you have the opportunity and you have somebody who's invested their time and resources and done the hard part for you, and all you have to do is buy your ticket and show up and bring a guest, I mean, it just makes it a whole lot easier for you. Plus, they love having the support from other Crossline members. The goal is always, when you have an event, is to fill as many seats as possible, whether they're in your downline or not. People feed off of that energy. Catherine Trestain actually taught one of the classes. She's Crossline from us, and if you remember from one of our rallies, Catherine's been at our, not the last rally, but the rally before, and she came to speak at our rally. It's just great to tap into her energy. So the simple fact that you have all of these different types of people, Kayla actually met someone who was a star, who was a chiropractor, who gave her practical suggestions. So when you have different kinds of people that come in from different downlines, different methods of doing things, is great information to plug into for the classes, but the one-on-one experiences that you get from one another are really encouraging as well. Tashina, you had something to add?
Yeah, just adding to the fact of what Dana was saying, just hearing the experts talk. So, I went to the chiropractor's class, and he was talking about toxic-free living, and his title was Mind Your Brain, and he was going over all this information, and he's like, yeah, I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, and I was like, no, but this is good, because I'm taking some screenshots of all these stats, and I know this is by a doctor, and then I can send it to people, and now I can say, see, look at what this doctor said. Take the toxins out of your home. Use oils to support your brain. So I was like, this is super good for us. Whether we agree with 100% or not, we're loving this. So it is great to hear from experts. And that's why we want all our new people there to hear from the experts as well.
So let's go ahead and get into the classes then.
So I did have information from the mastermind session as well. Did you want me to start with that?
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay. So I actually had the opportunity to also, with the keynote speaker, she is a coach. She trained under Zig Ziglar. And so I had an opportunity to attend a mastermind session for 6 hours on Friday with her. And she shared some really good information. And she had us get into strength finders, which I think we've kind of done as a team before, but she gave a very good perspective on it that I think that we should try to do again together, like in 3 months or so. But some of the things she shared was gut is naturally resistant to change. Change makes us feel insecure and fearful. We need to get out of our comfort zone and into our effective zone. She reminded us that little things matter. And she said to everyone there, you are not behind. You are where you need to be. And you have what you need to be to move on. She also mentioned, what does it mean to be the best version of yourself while we enjoy the ride of our life? That's what she tries to share with people. And we want to still be in a state of contentment, be grateful for what you have, push for goals while maintaining peace and gratitude and joy. And then there's 3 stages that we have to go through to achieve what we want. We have to know what we want, know who we are, and then know what we offer, and then put it into a system to share with other people. And she shared a quote, when you are happy, you literally set people free, from Alison Armstrong. And what we want to do is, instead of being conformed, which is what we try to do, and she showed a picture of like a person all donned up in makeup and stuff like that, which is the world's way, and they tell us to look good on the outside, but we don't try to change what's in, but we want to be instead transformed, and that's the best way. So we start with the inside and let that part of our personality come out. And she said there's a sea of sameness calling our name, but you are like no other. You can't be boxed in, held back, shut up, or stopped when you know who you are and whose you are. We need to say, oh no, to limiting beliefs such as being overbusy, overwhelmed, or obligatory thinking and offense. So stop saying I have to do things, but say we get to do things. We make our choices every day and say, I get to do this. I choose to do this, and it's because of this reason. Give people a new perspective. So it is like glasses. We don't want to make people run a marathon in the beginning. We have to take them step by step through things. And we want to say yes to a new perspective. And the things we need to work on to know ourselves is we want to have the I's, which are inner peace via integrity, inspiration, intentionality, and influence. And she said, actually, I think, okay, she had us answer the question when we feel inspired. And then to answer the question, what we're influenced by. And answer the question, what we need to be intentional about. And then she also mentioned what starts in us can change the world. So we need to start with our own story. Our story is important and will resonate with someone else. Pursue positivity. Rest despite vulnerability. Gain momentum with integrity. And arrive with your community. So when it comes to this business, it can be a roller coaster ride. It can be up and down, but don't let your people fall off the roller coaster. Arrive where you're trying to go with your community. Make sure that you're explaining to people step by step what they need to do to move forward with you. Let's see. One of the quotes, she mentioned a quote, which I've seen from Zig Ziglar. You don't build a business, you build people, and people build a business. She also mentioned that a real world problem that we are experiencing right now is zombies walking around. People are on their cell phones. Everyone's distracted. They're always overtired. And we can see that because a lot of people are not achieving their dreams. She said it. A quote from Tom Ziglar is, zombies don't care because they have no dreams. We want to run our life by vision and run our day by the clock. She showed a picture of like people on a bike. And in most organizations, you're going to have 30% are pedaling like crazy and engaged. 52% are disengaged and just coasting. And 18% are actively disengaged and causing resistance, such as toxic gossiping and negative attitude. So our job is always to try to align with the people that are engaged and try to communicate and educate those that are disengaged to move them over to the engaged category. Engagement starts with understanding what people want and the connection between the personal life and the business life. And that happens through a leader who truly cares about their people. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them, is another quote from Zig Ziglar. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Also from Zig Ziglar. And then we got into our strengths from Strength Finder. So it's a book called Strength Finders 2.0. There's 34 strengths, and you get your top 5. And she wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you're still unique. You are designed and created uniquely, because the chances of you meeting someone with your top 5 strengths is 1 in 275,000. And the chance of you meeting someone with your same top 5 strengths in the same order is 1 in 33 million. So everyone is definitely unique. Success comes from developing our strengths more than trying to improve our weaknesses. We don't need to be perfect. We should be working our strengths like a muscle. And the point is for you to partner up with people who are strong where you are weak. That's how you cover your weaknesses. Strong teams have complementary strengths. Each member of the body is important. Be intentional about finding people who are different than you. A talent becomes a strength when you have the ability to provide consistent, near perfect performance in a given activity. This is talent, skill, and knowledge working together. In matters of character, round out your weaknesses, but in matters of talents, work on your strengths. So a matter of character is like, I'm always late. That's something that affects somebody else. That's a weakness that you work on, right? I'm rude. That's a character flaw. Those things, yes, work on those. But if you're just shy, that's just part of your personality, and you need to partner with someone that's outgoing. Those are more working towards, you're a one-on-one person, not a group person. Work with your strengths and what's good for you. When you use your strengths, your endorphins actually go up. So within the 34 strengths, you can divide them out into strategic, executing, relationship building, and influencing. So strategic are the individuals that know how to keep the team future oriented and on the potential of what could be so that the decisions are made. Executing are the ones that know how to make things happen and are able to understand an idea and make it a reality. Relationship building is knowing how to make a group of individuals function as one so that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And influencing are the ones that know how to sell an idea to others inside and outside of the organization. So she mentioned that if you lead someone who has one or two strategic in their top 5 strengths, you have to include them on the planning because they're the ones that know how to cast the vision. If you are the person that has the ideas all the time, you need to make sure that you're around an executor because they're the ones that are going to put into practice. So everyone needs to take ownership of what they are, and then the relationship people are going to make everyone feel comfortable. So while everything is going around, they have to be there. And then she actually mentioned that the reason why she thinks she's so effective, because she has coached some Royal Crown Diamonds. She's directly coached Patty and a lot of people in Young Living, is because she said because most people get into Young Living not to do the business, but just to help people or to help their families. The majority of people, their strengths that are in Young Living are relationship. And then there's a lot that are executing. She says there's very few that are strategic, and she rarely comes across any that are influencing. And she says that the influencing strategic helps a lot when it comes to building the business. So that's why you need to know who in your team has that and partner with those people. And so I actually have 2 executing, 1 strategic, and 2 influence. And there was like 10 of us, and there was one other person that had influence. And she was like, wow, that's rare. I've never been in a room with 2 people to have influence, because influence is so rare to find in Young Living. So that was actually really interesting. And so what she actually had us do, and I'm almost done with this section, this is the end of it. What she actually had us do, and what I would love for the team to do, is that she actually had us like take our 5 strengths, and she had us like highlight the key words, and then we wrote them like in sentences, and then we wrote a paragraph. So this was one paragraph that someone else wrote, and then I'm going to read you guys my paragraph. So this person's name is Susan Billick, and she said, I create alternative strategies by quickly spotting relevant patterns and trends and fitting together all the pieces for maximum productivity. I take ownership and derive satisfaction from working hard and reaching goals. I focus on strengths to stimulate growth and transform something good into something excellent. So those are like, you get, when you do strength finders, you get like a couple paragraphs on your strengths. So she has responsibility, strategic, maximizer, focus, and one other one. And so she took some of those sentences and she made a paragraph out of it. And so my strengths are focus, competition, strategic, achiever, and significance. And the paragraph I wrote about myself is, I help propel people to higher levels of excellence by reassuring them I value their contributions and their capabilities. I welcome those that are vastly different from me. I create teams that achieve excellence, promote win-win situations, and forge ahead in the face of difficulties. I succeed by creating multiple action plans and presenting ideas in a reasonable, sequential, understandable way. I can analyze lessons of the past to find ways to thrive in future situations. I have the ability to reconfigure data in ways that reveal trends, raise issues, identify opportunities and solutions, even from seemingly unrelated information. I'm driven, dedicated, work with tireless effort, have abundant mental and physical energy, and persevere. I examine why, break through barriers, and succeed with exhilaration. So all of us came up with paragraphs and like read those out loud. And when we read them, like everyone sounded awesome. It was like, I want to work with you. You sound great. And everyone was so different at the same time. So I just thought that was cool. And that's like what we ended with. And then we talked a little bit about business goals and how our strengths could help us meet those business goals. So I would love, like I said, in 3 months or so for us to do that as a team, because I thought it was really cool. So that's what I got out of the 6-hour mastermind boiled down to 15 minutes.
All righty. Very, very cool. So Dana, you are also able to go to a few classes. Which ones did you attend at the festival?
So I guess I'll talk about why build a Young Living business. That was the class that Catherine Trustain did.
No fair, I was there too.
Okay, well, you can talk about it. Kayla can talk about it too. She was there as well. Because I'm sure I'll miss some things. It was interesting because she went pretty fast through the actual class, but then she had a lot of time to open it up for people to really, really ask questions. So I really thought it was interesting, her story just in general. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with her story, but she was one that won the race to the finish. I think this was about 2 years back now, or maybe 1 year back that she won that. And she signed up 77 people in 1 month. Yep. So she had signed up more people than anyone ever in the business at that point.
She went silver in 3 weeks.
Yep. And she went silver in 3 weeks. But her story actually began way before that. So before she started with Young Living, she actually had not left her home in 6 years. So she, between both her parents' tragic passing, it left her in a state of basically what post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, she had multiple different types of PTSD.
Yeah. So, and she kind of had listed them, like, and she's like, I literally did not leave my home for 6 years. Like, I did not have a phone. I did not have a car. I was losing my houses. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had nothing. But it was a college friend of hers that actually sent the fillings kit. Was it?
Freedom Kit.
Freedom Kit. I'm sorry.
It's like a $500 kit.
Yep. They sent her the Freedom Kit. They gifted it to her. They sent it to her. She was like, this is ridiculous. What idiot would send a $500 kit of oils just to get me to buy an $160 oil kit? But she said over time, she started like really using the oils. She did exactly what the instructions had told her to do. She was able to get herself out of that place. She said when she finally ordered her kit, she ordered her kit, and before the kit came to her home, she had already signed up 3 people. So I thought that was very interesting because, again, somebody could have looked at her situation. I'm sure they were trying to get with her, trying to, communicate with her, and she was not having it. The woman did not leave her home in 6 years, but something happened where the oils made a dramatic change in her life. And like she said, she's like, it basically saved my life. And she was like, we are under obligation to help people. Like, if you love the people in your family, your friends, in your circle, if you genuinely say, I love these people, we need to help them. What they do with the information is up to them, but we have a responsibility to help them. So in her class, that's where I got the little tidbit about the Canadian website, where she's like, if you actually want to know what an oil does, go to the Canadian website, look at some of the oils, because it will like give you the real deal. They don't have the FDA. She also had mentioned, she's like, in my classes, I will ask 3 times, is there anybody from the FDA here? Is there anyone from the FDA here? Is there anyone from the FDA here? If I've asked 3 times, they have to reveal, if they're present, who they are. She's like, when I'm amongst friends, and this isn't being taped over the internet, or we're not recording this or anything like that, I talk to my friends. I talk to my friends, the real. She had mentioned, what is it, the essential oils reference guide, and it's not the same as the desk reference guide, but this book I think is about a $60 book. It's about the same size, but she's like, there is literally protocols for cancer. There's literally protocols for certain things. She's like, you guys need this book. Your team needs this book. You need to make sure people understand the power of these oils. It's so important that they understand the power of the oils. As leaders, as business builders, we need to be making sure people truly understand the power of what they have. She also mentioned in her presentation, which I thought was pretty cool, just some of the perks of building a business in Young Living. One of them being the trips. She's like, she had pictures of her at silver, at gold, you know, and whatnot. And then she had pictures of other people at platinum and diamond and her upline and stuff like that. And I don't know if many people are friends with, you know, the platinum retreat just ended. So a lot of those platinums, it's amazing to see some of their experiences, what they're doing. She's like, this company spoils us. Like, they absolutely spoil us. Just to help other people get wellness. But can you think of any other?
Oh yeah. See, and the funny thing is I got something totally different out of Catherine's story. Because a lot of times, like, the simple fact that she went silver in 3 weeks, like, people look at that and they're like, oh my goodness, like, what did you do? Like, I need to do that. Like, I need to be silver. I need to be such and such rank in so much amount of time. And Catherine came straight out and said it. She was like, my story is a unicorn story. I mean, she's like, to be honest, like, I talked to over 700 people on social media, or is it 700 or 7,000?
Yeah, no, I did think that was interesting too. She's like, I talked to probably 700 to 800 people in order to sign up 77 people.
Right. So her conversion rate is a little over 10%, or maybe exactly at 10%, I think she was saying, which is only 1 in every 10 people that she spoke to. But
which is about right. You know what I mean? Like, and I think sometimes that's where we get these blocks, because we're like, we see people, oh, you went to silver really fast, or you did this really fast, but they did the exact same thing that you are going to do, or you need to do to get there too. If you're going to talk to 700 to 800 people within a month, then that's the results that you're going to get, because that's what the averages say. The problem is we drag our feet and we only talk to the one person every 2 weeks, and then it's like our law of averages is going to still stay the same. So if we're going slower than we would like, we have to pick up the pace and talk to more people.
Mm-hmm. And just when I think about that, though, I mean, that is one of the things, like, I remember Eric Worre when we went to convention, that he talked about. He's like, those kind of stories, they do us a disservice, because, like, we see somebody like Catherine, and it's like, oh yeah, she flew to the top of the company within a short amount of time. And so everybody uses that as the bar to judge where they are. And so one thing I can appreciate about, like, events like Fall Oily Fest, and when you go to conventions and you talk to other people who are there, you realize that that is not the norm. That is great that she did that. And if that's what you're aspiring to do, by all means, talk to 777 people so that you can sign up 77 people in 1 month. Feel free. But anytime that we go to a convention, like, you know, the experiences that we've talked to of people, it took them longer. And it doesn't matter whether it takes you 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to get to Royal Crown Diamond. It's still Royal Crown Diamond, and it's still worth it. So, like, I appreciate that Catherine took the moment to say that my story is a unicorn story. It's the exception. It's not the rule. Because of the fact that sometimes we try to compare ourselves to that, and it can become discouraging. So where you're at, just take a moment to reflect and say, am I where I want to be? Am I moving at the pace that I want to be? And if you are, great. If not, make some adjustments so that you can move and roll faster. If you want those 77 people, you have to talk to 777. It's just the way that the odds and the numbers work. So I did appreciate her saying that. And then I think of the other thing that kind of hit me big with Catherine's class was her why was big enough. And I think we've done a call on this before where we talk about how big a person's why is, because even Adam Green talked about it when we recapped his class. I mean, how to do this business, there's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of resources, exactly step by step what to do. Go talk to people, have classes, sign up people, help your team. Like, that's the easy part. But the why sometimes is our why is not big enough that we get hung up that where we don't progress. And when I look at Catherine's story, like, this woman didn't leave the house, like she was losing weight, like crazy. She was on pretty much on death's door from her depression. So the fact that when she started using the Freedom Oils, that helped bring her out of that state, like, that's a big enough why that she felt like she's like, I got to tell any and everybody now, you know, and that's why she was able to move so fast. So that was another thing that stuck out to me is go back to your why. Is your why big enough? And if it's not motivating you enough, it's not big enough. Rethink your why. And then lastly, I'll touch on, I think somebody asked this question in the class, like, how did she reach that many people? And she did touch on social media. You know, she says she keeps her page open. She accepts anybody on her friends list. Like, she has like over 5,000 friends. She's maxed out her page multiple times with her friends list. But she doesn't, it's funny, she says she doesn't post about Young Living in her posts very often, if ever, really. She said what she does is she messages people on the backside, like direct message or Facebook Messenger. And when she accepts a friend request from somebody, hey, tell me about yourself. Like, what do you like to do? She forms them, gets to know them. And that's how she actually, I don't want to say recruits, but that's how she actually sets up one-on-ones and gets people to come to classes, just by talking to them like you would in person on social media, and then finding out what their need is and finding a way to fill it. So that kind of simplified that for me, because I feel like that's a lot of times I've heard that question. Even Lindsay Teague Marino builds a lot on social media, and she gets this question a lot, like, how do you build on social media? I mean, it's really just taking what you would use in everyday life, like a face-to-face conversation, and transporting that to the digital realm. And so that was another thing that stuck out. Was there anything that I missed or we didn't cover? Okay.
Can I just add something for a second? I didn't go to her class, but I just want to return to your why being big enough, and how Dana was stating that we really need to help people. Like, I feel like this is the reason why I know that I'm going gold by February, because I feel like I am there now. There's so much that has happened with the people around me that I actually feel guilty that I have not moved faster. Like, there is an individual that I used to live with that is in ICU. There is a person from my congregation that has had a brain tumor. We have a family member that has a brain tumor. There is an individual at my congregation who no one knows what's wrong with her, and she can't barely leave her house. There is an individual that just had an arm surgery. There's a person that had a hysterectomy. I'm like, seriously, these people, none of these people that I know have oils yet, and I have moved too slow, and I need to help more people, and I need to do it faster. And when I see the people posting their videos from Platinum, when I watch the Gold Retreat video, like, I literally tear up. Like, I need to be there, and I need to be there now, because that is how I'm going to help more people. So I would 100% agree with what she was saying, and revisiting your why and thinking how we need to help people, because that is the crux of it. It is not about getting to the rank. The rank just means that when you were at gold, you were able to help 900 people get touched. When you reach platinum, you were able to help possibly 5,000 people get touched. That is what it's really, truly about. And focusing on the people and helping people, that is truly what it is about.
Absolutely. So it's just something to think about. I mean, Catherine is, if you've ever met her, she comes off as very eccentric, but she's very bright and very smart. and there's a lot to be learned from her. So
I will just add too, and you had kind of talked about it a little bit when Kayla was talking to the chiropractor or whatnot. I do appreciate, like, Catherine was like, go for professional accounts. You're blocking me completely.
I'm sorry.
Go for professional accounts, because it helps to boost OGV within organizations. So she's like, my goal in all 6 of my legs is to have one professional account in each one somewhere. She's like, I put it maybe 3 or 4 levels down, because all it is for me is volume. I want to help whoever's at the top of that organization, that leader. I want to push them up in volume. So she's like, so go to your local chiropractor. I think the chiropractor that Kayla was talking to, she was like, we learned oils in school. So it's not like when you come bring us oils, we're like, oh, what is this voodoo stuff that you're bringing? You know, they are familiar with oils, and they know that doTERRA and Young Living are the best oils out there. They would never go to just, you know, the grocery store and get oils. They know that that's not going to help support their clients. And if you just approach them with the idea that, hey, Panaway, Copaiba, you know, frankincense, these are going to help your clients recover faster after being adjusted. They're all on that. Like, but more than likely it hasn't been presented to them. And then she was like, and then show them the money. And if you retail this, you can make more money. Because for a chiropractor, especially if they're building their practice, they need to have multiple streams of revenue. That's why they sell supplements. That's why they sell other things. So if it is truly at, you know, top-notch level, they're going to be willing and open to listen. So she was like, go to your local chiropractors.
Yeah, I think that's something we're definitely going to be implementing. And Kayla, if you remember her name, just put it in the chat who it was that you spoke to. But I mean, the fact that she brought that out, I mean, that's something we had never even thought about. So there's, like I said, there's many different ways to do this business, and it's like everybody has their own, you know, spin on it. Alexis, thank you, Kayla. Alexis was her name. Everybody has their own spin on it. So you find what clicks with you and you run with it. So absolutely, that was a good point too. Okay, so there were a couple other classes. I know we broke off. I attended the Vitality Oils cooking class. Was there, and then Jill Hellwig spoke, right? So I know for me, the Vitality Oils class wasn't really anything new. But I will put this out there, like if you have not tried the culinary kit, get the culinary kit and try it. I think there's a special that one of the girls was saying going on because of the holiday season on the culinary kit. It comes with like a mixing bowl, like a special kind of whisk, 6 oils, oil stand, and they're all the Vitality oils, like for different herbs. And they had some creative recipes to try. So if that's something that, you know, you haven't gotten into, think about getting into it. I mean, there's a ton of things that you can do with your Vitality oils. They last a whole lot longer than the physical herbs, and they maintain their potency way more than the physical herbs do for a lot longer. So just, if I'm going to put that out there, it's just something to look into. Definitely if you're thinking about, you know, cooking with your oils. I mean, I love to cook with my oils. I just used my ginger tonight. So I did attend that class. Tashina, was there any other classes that you made it to?
I could just briefly talk about the art of perfumery. Okay. So the main thing that I learned from this, because again, I thought, well, everybody tells me I smell all the time. I've doused myself in the lotion and the oil. I always have a scent. So why would I want to make a perfume? I don't get it. So the oils are made to go into your system, right? We always talk about how it goes into your bloodstream in 26 seconds. Either it goes into your bloodstream or it starts to dissipate off of you. So if I wanted to smell like joy all day long, I'm not going to smell, if I put it on my wrist and I smell my wrist over and over, I have to reapply stress away or reapply joy. That's how the oils work, because they work with they're adaptogenic and they go into our bloodstream. And so the reason why you would create a perfume is because you want that scent to stay with you like throughout the most of the day. And what you have to do in order to do that is get a oil or a binder that's a very viscous, and that actually makes it stay with you. So you use something like pure vanilla or myrrh. And so in the class, they gave us a list of things that you can do, but that was just a key thing for me. Like, if you are an individual that loved perfumes, you loved scents back in the day, and now you want to go natural, that would be an important reason. And it's something that people are attracted to. Like, people may not come to a oils class, but they may come to a makeup or a perfume class. And so it's just another tool in your toolbox to have a fun class and get people involved and do a make and take. So that was the key thing I learned from that.
Nice. So I know the other one that we attended that was really good was the Healing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. So Amy was the one that led that. She actually is local, which is kind of cool. So her office is right off of Telegraph and Maple, which is very, very close to my home. So that was very interesting too. Honestly, I think both me and Kayla at first were like, this seems a little hokey. I don't know if we're gonna stay. But it really had a lot to do with being in tune with what your body needs. And a lot of the things even that we learned last call with the tapping, it's like it all connected and made a lot of sense. And she did use the book Releasing Emotions with Essential Oils, I believe, by Carolyn Main, maybe, which I love that book. But I'll be honest, like, I wasn't really clear or sure how to use and utilize that book. So she really helped to break down how to use that and get the most out of it. But with her strategy, she allowed you to listen to your body to figure out the emotion before you looked in the book, because sometimes we can kind of be persuaded and be like, oh, it's fear or it's this. So I thought that was very interesting, because there might be some deep-seated things that actually are some of the reasons that you're not doing as well in your business, or some reasons that you think, oh, I can't do a business, or things that are holding you back, or things like that. So I did think that that was very powerful as well. That's all I have for that one.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think that covered all the classes then. I mean, all in all, that we were able to attend. I mean, some of the other ones they had a kombucha making class that I did see. They had a Savvy Minerals beauty class. There was a pets, like an animal raindrop technique. Didn't even know that existed. So it was a great event. They already have the date for the next one, which is November 9th. Was it? They moved it up a week or something?
Yeah, it's going to be November 9th. And actually, it's going to be combined with the rally. And we were invited to bring our team and support, like 100% be on the planning committee for that.
So with that being said, I mean, that's like a year from now. If you're out of the country, out of the state, and you would like to come to the event, plan to do so. I mean, it's a great event. A lot of the people that came to the event, they did travel. Some of them traveled hours to come. So just something to think about in advance, because we're trying to blow up, especially for the Metro Detroit area, and have as many people there to support it. So
yeah, we're gonna have she's inviting her Crown Diamond to come. She doesn't always have someone of that level. So I guarantee you that when we start planning it, it will be sold out, because if she's going to have a Crown Diamond there, and I'm going to be either gold or platinum by that time, and we're going to invite corporate, because I looked at the requirements to invite corporate to a rally. You need to have 250 people plus or diamond or above there. So we will have corporate there. We will have a Crown Diamond there, and the facility holds about 200, 250. So I guarantee you it will sell out. But she'll start planning it probably in, I don't know, June or something like that. So
very good. So we're down to our last couple minutes. At this point, let's transition and let's talk about some upcoming events. Monday, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 19th. Dana and I will be hosting an online fitness class on Facebook. I'm looking at Melissa's question. So Melissa, I'm sorry, not to derail this. Would you recommend that event over Shannon's? I recommend the event in addition to Shannon's. Plug into as many events as you can. But the feel is kind of different because you have different classes being taught simultaneously. So it actually has more of a mini convention feel, which is where Shannon's is, to me, feels more like the classes that are held at convention or like a general session. So I would recommend it in addition to. But yeah, so class tomorrow night, 7:30 or 8 o'clock? 8:30, I'm sorry. 8:30 on Facebook. So feel free to plug your people in. Join us if you're available as well. We would love to have you guys support. Anything else that is going on within the next week or a couple weeks that people would need to know about, Tashina?
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate though, remember we talked about Shannon's IPAs, and we talked about how Shannon stated that if you really want to rank up, you have to have a class per week and you have to go to a big event, one per month. So some of us have daytime jobs and it takes a lot to do that. But if you have other people hosting events, then you have to plug into those. And Sarah Harnish says to have a successful online class, you need to invite 50 people so that 5 to 10 show up. And inviting means sending a text message with the information or a direct message. It doesn't mean clicking the invite button because they're not going to see it. Because they also got invited to a paparazzi and a pampered chef, and they're ignoring, like I have probably 7 invites that I've never looked at in my box right now. So just to reiterate that. And then the following week, we do have on the 27th, we have a Spanish online class. And then we will, for those that are here in the Metro Detroit, you can start inviting now. We have our monthly spa party on December 2nd. I just sent out postcards, like 200 postcards to the majority of people in Michigan on the team. And then I actually set up a lot of online events through April. So I'll post a link to my actual page, but we just want to make sure that, we know this is high season. We're going to sign up a lot of people, and then we want to educate them going through February. I want everybody that wants to be silver, and I'm going to be gold in February. That's when we got to qualify to get to the retreats, guys. So we are doing our best to put as much out there. And I've been doing regularly my Spanish ones, but I want to make sure everyone on the team has access to education, no matter where they live at. So if you want to join and be part of those, I can make anyone a co-host to any of those. If there's something you want to learn about, just let me know. They are for the team. They're to make sure that we have access and everybody has what they need in the support so that they can rank up by February.
All right. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to take a moment to promote? Or any other thing?
I'm sorry, I did want to just add to the team meeting December 11th, the Tuesday. So that is also piggybacking on the online event where we're talking about weight management and things like that. So that is another in-person if you're local to make sure you're inviting people to.
Yeah. And then Dana, you said we're gonna do a cleanse challenge, right? In January?
Yes, in January.
So I did put in an online event for January 1st for that, but so within the next 2 weeks, we'll be getting people information about what they need to order in December to participate in that, because November is almost over.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty. Well, let's go ahead and end our call then. Thank you, everybody, for sharing in with us this evening. I couldn't think of the word. But for being on. Hopefully you guys found this information of value. Keep pressing on, guys. You got it. And then until we see you guys on the next call, stay healthy and stay at it. Till then, take care. Good night.